In the quiet stillness of a remote forest on Earth, where sunlight barely pierced the thick canopy, a strange, shimmering object fell from the sky, crashing through branches and scattering leaves in every direction. The impact echoed faintly through the woods, but only one person nearby. Jasana, a skilled engineer who often escaped the noise of city life to find peace in nature, heard the disturbance and cautiously approached the site. What he found was unlike anything he had ever seen: a small craft, cracked and smoldering, and inside it, an unconscious figure, young woman, glowing faintly with an otherworldly light. Her hair shimmered like strands of silver moonlight, and her eyes, though closed, hinted at a depth of sorrow and strength. She was dressed in clothing that looked delicate, yet clearly not of earth, crafted from materials that seemed to change color subtly as the light shifted. Jason felt a mixture of curiosity and concern as he carefully helped her from the wreckage. Noticing how fragile she seemed, yet something in her posture suggested a noble bearing, someone who had once lived a life of importance, but was now broken and alone. She slowly stirred and opened her eyes. The look of confusion quickly changed to fear, as if she had expected to find only danger. She spoke softly in a language Jason did not understand at first, but her desperation was clear through the trembling tone and pleading gestures. Using his basic knowledge of universal communication signals and some luck, Jason managed to convey that she was safe. However, when she finally spoke broken English, her words were surprising. She begged him to accept her as a servant, offering loyalty and knowledge in exchange for protection. The word servant struck Jason oddly. It sounded outdated and demeaning, especially given the quiet dignity she still carried despite her situation. Yet her eyes were sincere and vulnerable, showing no hint of manipulation or pride. She explained in halting phrases that her world had fallen into ruin, her noble family destroyed by enemies, and she had escaped with nothing but her life and a desire to survive. Her story was strange, unbelievable even, but the pain in her voice and the weight of her silence convinced Jason that she was telling the truth. He wondered why someone so graceful and intelligent would see herself as a servant. But something in him stirred a deep empathy and a desire to help this alien woman who had come so far and lost so much. As he offered her water and warmth, Lyra, as she called herself, remained cautious but compliant, watching him with a mix of hope and uncertainty. Neither knew what lay ahead. Jason with his simple Earth life and Lyra with her shattered past and uncertain future, but this strange meeting in the forest marked the beginning of a bond neither had expected. Jason felt a growing sense of responsibility, but also curiosity about the knowledge she claimed to possess. Knowledge that could change everything he knew about the universe. Meanwhile, Lyra fought her own internal battles: fear of rejection, mistrust of strangers, and the shame of her fallen status, all while clinging to the fragile hope that perhaps this Earthling could be more than a rescuer. Maybe he could become an ally or even a friend. As night fell, the forest around them seemed to hold its breath, shadows deepening, stars flickering in the sky above, and the future remained uncertain. Yet in that quiet moment, under the vast unknown, two lives won. Human, one alien had crossed paths in a way that would challenge their ideas of strength, worth, and loyalty, and set in motion a story far larger than either could imagine. Jason took a deep breath and finally agreed to Lyra's request, but with one clear condition: she would not be a servant in the old sense, someone to be ordered around without respect. Instead, she would be treated as an equal partner in their strange new world together. This unexpected demand surprised Lyra more than Jason could have guessed. Her entire life she had been raised to obey, to follow commands without question, always beneath those she served or protected. The idea of equality was foreign to her, yet something in Jason's steady gaze and calm voice made her consider this new possibility. As days passed, they faced many challenges just to communicate clearly. Lyra's native language was rich and complex, filled with subtle meanings that Earth's languages could never fully capture. Jason, patient and resourceful, used drawings, gestures, and simple words. While Lyra listened closely, eager to learn and understand. Slowly, their conversations grew more confident, breaking down the walls of fear and misunderstanding that had kept them apart. Lyra began to show Jason the remarkable skills she had developed before her world fell apart: how to find safe water in the wild, how to heal minor wounds with natural remedies, and even hints of technology far beyond Earth's current knowledge. Her intelligence and calm problem-solving impressed Jason, who in turn introduced her to the tools and customs of Earth life: how to use a smartphone, basic household chores, and the simple joy of making coffee. Despite their differences, they found comfort in shared curiosity and respect. Yet beneath the surface of this growing friendship, shadows from Lyra's past started to creep into their lives. One evening, as the two sat by a small campfire, Lyra's eyes darkened with fear when a strange sound echoed through the nearby woods. She quickly scanned the horizon, speaking in her native tongue, warning Jason that they were not alone. He felt a chill run down his spine. The peace they had fought to create seemed fragile. Whatever was coming was connected to Lyra's former enemies, those who had destroyed her home and now sought to capture her. Lyra admitted she had been followed since the moment she escaped. That danger was never far behind. The knowledge unsettled Jason deeply. Their quiet life in the forest was no longer safe. Still, they refused to give in to despair. Instead, they decided to prepare, using their combined skills to set traps and hideouts, turning the forest into a fortress of sorts. Trust between them deepened as they shared their fears and hopes, admitting vulnerabilities they had kept hidden for so long. Lyra, once fragile and hesitant, began to show a fierce determination, inspired by Jason's steady courage. For his part, Jason was amazed by how much he was learning, not just about alien science and survival, but about the power of partnership between very different beings. Each lesson they shared, each secret revealed, brought them closer. The threats were real and closing in, and soon. Jason realized that their fight would not just be for survival, but for the chance to change what it meant to be friends, allies, and maybe even something more. The forest held its breath with them, the night alive with whispers and unseen eyes, and in the heart of it all, two unlikely companions stood, ready to face whatever came next together. The calm that Jason and Lyra had cautiously built was shattered. One cold evening, when dark shadows crept from the stars and landed on Earth with silent menace, scouts from Lyra's homeworld, merciless enforcers sent to reclaim. Hera had tracked her escape across galaxies and were now closing in, armed with technology far beyond anything Jason had seen before. The quiet forest where they had found safety suddenly became a dangerous maze of hiding spots and threats. Jason's heart pounded as he and Lyra moved silently beneath the thick branches, their minds racing to stay one step ahead of relentless pursuers. Lyra's grace and years of combat training became their greatest defense. She could sense danger before it arrived, move like a shadow, and fight with precision that made even Jason, used to dealing with machines, admire her strength. But brute force alone would not save them. Jason's quick thinking and deep knowledge of technology turned ordinary forest tools into clever traps and distractions. Together, they created false trails, scrambled electronic signals, and found ways to turn the enemy's high-tech gear against them. Every day was a test of endurance and wit, with no room for mistakes. Meanwhile, far from the forest, Earth's governments had begun to notice strange energy readings and unexplained phenomena, signs that something beyond their understanding was happening. Satellite images captured fleeting glimpses of unknown objects, and security agencies quietly raised alerts, fearing an invasion or secret experiments. This new attention made hiding even harder. Jason and Lyra realized that their secret refuge could not last forever, and every move was watched by eyes they could not see. Despite the pressure, their bond only grew stronger. Trust became their shield, and respect their weapon. Lyra taught Jason how to read alien technology and harness its power in subtle ways, while Jason shared Earth's hidden networks, safe places, and ways to blend in among humans. Together, they became more than just survivor and protector. They became a team, united by a mission far bigger than themselves. But the enemy's forces were relentless. Using drones that hovered like silent vultures and patrols that scanned the forest with heat sensors and sound detectors more than once, Jason's calm under pressure and Lyra's fierce courage saved them from capture. One night, when the pursuers almost closed in, they escaped by triggering a cleverly placed electromagnetic pulse that disabled the enemies' equipment long enough for them to vanish into the darkness. Yet, with every close call, Jason knew their time was running out. The world outside was awakening to the presence of alien life, and Lyra's enemies would not give up. The question hung heavily in the air. Could a human and an alien, bound by growing friendship and mutual respect, overcome an enemy that spanned the stars and threatened not just their lives, but the safety of Earth itself? As the forest whispered its ancient secrets around them, Jason and Lyra prepared to face the coming storm, determined to protect their fragile new world and each other against the dark forces hunting them through the night. The time for hiding had passed. Jason and Lyra knew they had to face their enemies directly if they wanted any chance of securing Lyra's freedom and protecting Earth from the dark forces that had followed her across the stars.
Almas.
No longer the fragile, desperate alien who had begged to be a servant, Lyra's spirit had transformed into one of fierce determination. She had grown stronger with every danger they faced, her grace replaced by a quiet but powerful resolve to fight back, to reclaim her place, and to make sure that no one else would suffer as she had. Jason, too, shed any hesitation, his mind sharp and focused as he combined his technical knowledge with Lyra's advanced alien strategies. Together, they planned a daring counterattack, knowing that their enemies would not expect such courage and unity from a human and an alien who had once seemed so outmatched. The forest that had been their refuge became the battleground, but the fight extended far beyond its borders, reaching into cities and secret places where others, humans and aliens alike, had begun to listen to the story of these two unlikely allies. Slowly, a small but determined network formed people who believed not in war or conquest, but in cooperation and peace. Their voices, once whispers, grew louder, inspiring hope and courage. As the enemies launched their assault with powerful weapons and ruthless tactics, Jason and Lyra met them head-on with traps, intelligence, and unexpected alliances. Lyra's combat skills dazzled, her movements precise and deadly, while Jason's inventions disrupted the enemy's communication and machinery, turning their strength against them. The battle was brutal and exhausting, pushing both to their limits, but they refused to give up.
Ow.
Every victory, no matter how small, was a step toward changing the future. In the midst of the chaos, Lyra reached out to others, like her exiles, and survivors who had escaped similar fates, and together they formed a united front, ready to defend their new home alongside humans who chose to believe in them. This alliance, fragile yet growing, challenged the old narratives of fear and hostility that had kept their worlds apart for so long. The fight became more than just survival. It became a battle to redefine what it meant to be strong, to be a friend, and to belong. Jason and Lyra stood side by side, not as master and servant, but as equals who had forged their own path through darkness. Their courage inspired others to join, to hope, and to dream of a future where humans and aliens could coexist in peace. As the final clashes echoed across the skies and forests, the battle for survival transformed into a fight for the very soul of two worlds. And the bond between Jason and Lyra shone as a beacon of what was possible when trust and determination united against all odds, with the immediate threat from Lyra's enemies finally defeated. A new chapter began not just for Lyra and Jason, but for Earth and the many worlds connected by their story. Lyra, once a desperate alien pleading to be a servant, had earned far more than safety. She had gained respect, trust, and a place of honor among humans who once feared what they did not understand. The news of their struggle and triumph spread, quietly at first, through whispers and secret meetings, and hushed talks among scientists and diplomats who had glimpsed the truth about Lyra's past and her strength. As more people heard their story, it became a symbol of unity, resilience, and hope. Lyra's journey from helpless exile to a leader who stood tall beside Jason inspired others to look beyond fear and prejudice, to see the power that comes from cooperation between different beings. Together, Jason and Lyra worked tirelessly to build bridges between species, sharing knowledge and culture in ways that could create lasting peace rather than endless conflict. Lyra taught humans about the vast universe beyond their small planet, sharing technology and ideas that could help improve life on Earth and protect it from future dangers. Jason, in turn, showed Lyra how compassion and humility could be the strongest forces of all, helping her heal from the wounds of her past and embrace a new identity not defined by status or fear, but by courage and kindness. Their partnership, once born from desperation, grew into a movement that invited others, both human and alien, to join in shaping a future where differences were celebrated, not feared. The world changed slowly but surely as trust spread, breaking down walls of suspicion and building new foundations of friendship. Lyra's presence challenged many long-held beliefs, forcing leaders and citizens alike to reconsider what it meant to be human and what it meant to belong. Some resisted, afraid of change and the unknown, but many more chose to listen, to learn, and to dream of a world where cooperation replaced conflict. Jason and Lyra stood at the center of this transformation, not as rulers, but as symbols of what was possible when fear gave way to understanding. Their story reminded everyone that true strength comes not from power or titles, but from the bonds we build with others, bonds made of trust, courage, and compassion. As new alliances formed and old fears faded, Earth looked to the stars with hope rather than fear. Lyra, once a poor, hopeless alien beauty who begged for protection, had become a beacon of change, proving that the meaning of humanity was not fixed, but could grow to include all who chose peace and friendship. Together, Jason and Lyra faced the future with determination, knowing that their journey was just beginning and that the fate of many depended on the courage to dream of a better tomorrow.